Hi, this is Joe again with another review. Of course, the sake of this video, of course, those of you who've been watching my videos for the past week know I've been overhyping this review for that I'm doing today, and rightly so. This video, I'm going to be discussing the 2017 TV movie that's been a year waiting for us, and it's Sharknado 5: Global Swarming. Of course, this movie, of course, just aired just last night, so there's a pretty fresh review. And of course, Ian Ziering as Finn Shepard, and Tara Reid as his wife, April, and also you have the Nova character. She's back for this one. Forgot Casey. Forgot what her last name is. She's back. It seems like every other movie that the Nova character comes back from the Sharknado films, and of course a bunch of junked up cameos, which I'm going to get to in a minute. Because there's one in particular that I have to really criticize this thing on. Really two. Of course, this movie is I think it's more of a serious tone than the other Sharknado movies. But one of the first four was really kind of fun and fun to watch, kind of silly and campy. And the fourth one, which I previously reviewed, so check it out if you haven't seen it. The fourth one, I always felt that was the silliest one of the whole Sharknado series. So I guess this one, even though it has a spoof of two iconic movies from the 1980s, it's still I feel it has more of a serious tone in it. For this movie, the premise for this one is unlike of the other Sharknado films. To the respect of, instead of just trying to stop the Sharknadoes, Finn was trying to rescue his son, who was trapped inside a vortex inside the Sharknado. That's pretty much the premise of this movie. He's trying to rescue his son from inside the Sharknado. Instead of stopping it, he was trying to rescue his son. And of course, because Finn and April go into this vortex, it's inside the Sharknado, they get transported to different points of the world and trying to get back into the Sharknado to rescue the son. And of course, you see they go to. It starts off in London. They go to Rome. They actually meet the Pope, believe it or not, which is an absolute silliest part of the whole thing. One of the main silly parts of the movie, I should say. It's not the first of many, but it's like the second, and really the second most silliest moment of the whole thing. Then they go to London, they go to Egypt, and they go back to Stonehenge. By the end of the film. Well, basically, the reason why Finn goes to Stonehenge, because originally they were in London to talk to NATO to stop another Sharknado, how they prepare for another one. And Finn gets a call from Nova and says, "Hey, can you help me? I'm in Stonehenge." And so he does, and he goes down to this cave that's underneath Stonehenge to get this artifact that could possibly stop the Sharknadoes. Because Nova did research on this and said, "Hey, if we get this artifact, it could probably stop all Sharknadoes from ever happening again." And meanwhile, this artifact was like a shark artifact, caused more Sharknadoes to happen, pretty much destroyed the whole world by the end of the movie. Of course, when Finn goes into this cave, it's like a ripoff of Raiders of the Lost Ark. And you see him go through all these booby traps, shark-related booby traps. And of course, Finn comes up with the line, ways that have sharks. Ways that have to be sharks, which is of course a ripoff of the line from Raiders of the Lost Ark, when Indy looks into the pit, with the well of souls, and sees all these snakes around. Instead of course snakes, it says sharks. But really would have been a real over-the-top spoof of that of Raiders of the Lost Ark is if April would have said, "Sharks, very dangerous. You go first." But they had like which of course Sala says in Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? But she says to him, she just says, "You go first," and forget the rest of that line on the front end of that line with the sharks being dangerous. So Finn goes in. They do get the artifact out, like I said, and cause more Sharknadoes to happen. And at that point, Nova is trying to hold on to Finn's son, Gil, and he gets sucked into the Sharknado, and that's it. And of course, and then the rest of the movie, like I mentioned earlier, they will try to go in and rescue Finn's son, Gil. Of course, the first really funny, over-the-top, absolutely absurd cameo is, of course, those of you who grew up in the 70s like I did, know who Cholo is, who is a Mexican singer with a thick Mexican or Spanish accent, and it's very hard. It is very hard and we were singing on TV for over 40 years. Still very hard all these years later to understand what she's saying. She plays the Queen of England. I am not kidding. Of all the actors, instead of getting maybe a Queen Elizabeth impersonator, they hired Cholo to play that part. I am not joking. She doesn't have any lines. She just comes out of the room, smiles, because the sharks were attacking Buckingham Palace. And Finn comes in and stops the shark just short of where the room where the Queen is in. And of course, after a while, the Queen comes out, and was Cholo, her famous time was going "Coochie Coochie," and her boobs, and she shake her boobs and yell "Coochie Coochie." And of course, thankfully, she doesn't, because if she says anything, it would really make the movie really silly. Of course, during the movie, of course, we know from the previous entry in the Sharknado series, the fourth one, that Tara Reid is now a cyborg, and she had to get her system checked out. So Nova, the Nova character, decides to. She's part of this sisterhood thing who's like a bunch of shark hunters, all women, and they had a couple of them who are, techies, really computer savvy and fixed it. And one of them was played by Olivia Newton-John, of course, famous from Greece, the Grease movie. And of course, that's important because when the scene is over, or the end of the scene, when they fixed Nova up, they fixed everything up, got ready where her batteries had to be recharged or all that stuff. They fixed all that stuff up. And Olivia Newton-John's assistant says, "How about a stud? Tell me about a stud." And of course, the famous line that Olivia Newton-John says to John Travolta at the end of Grease. So, when she was saying the line, Olivia Newton-John cuts her off and says, "Hey, I'm the only one who was allowed to say that line." So, spoofing the line from Grease. And that's pretty much where the spoofs end until the very end of the movie. Of course, when the movie goes on, of course, like I said, going all they went to Tokyo, Japan, they went to Rome with the Colosseum actually, and they trained this other guy who grabbed the MI6 guy, and they did kind of a spoof of James Bond, where the guy says Skyfall, mentions Skyfall in it. So it was really kind of, you blink, you miss the parodies. And the other thing, also all the time was kind of silly, but I thought it was maybe a little bit more, like I said earlier at the top of this review, I thought there was more of a serious tone in this movie. And because it's not that much of a parody, it's not that, it didn't say they didn't have any parodies at all. It just said it was really, they cut a lot of that stuff down because they thought it was because maybe they thought it was maybe too over the top in the fourth movie. Possibly. That's probably more of a downer in this film. Of course, what happens is, of course, they did stop all the Sharknadoes. They couldn't rescue the son. April dies. Spoiler: April does die, and does about Finn's entire family because he was communicating with his son. The son dies. He gets swept up in the Sharknado. He dies. April gets crushed under debris from the Egyptian pyramids. So she dies. Well, and practically everybody in the world dies, and Finn is the only survivor. And it's kind of like we're having a war of the worlds. You see, the whole world is destroyed after all these Sharknadoes. Everything's been back put in place, except, of course, you think Finn would die last. All of a sudden a shark will come along and eat him, and it will be the end of the series. Because that's what I thought it was. But while watching this film was maybe it's the end of the Sharknado series. Well, all of a sudden, this military vehicle comes along and says, "Okay, we're the last humans on Earth. Let's help clean up the the planet." But meanwhile, the person who came out in the vehicle just happened to be Dolph Lundgren. Because those of you who know, it was in most famously playing He-Man in the god-awful Master of the Universe movie, but he was also most famous for killing Apollo Creed in Rocky IV. And he goes, "I must break you," and he does all that stuff. And believe it or not, this is where the end of the movie was really, and it was quite good. For maybe at least half of the movie was quite good, actually. This is where this movie is like, for me, we're having Dolph Lundgren come on, and he says, "I'm your son, Dad." He said, I'm Gil." Speaking with an Austrian accent, because Dolph Lundgren in real life is actually Austrian, so that's why he has a slight accent. And he says, "Oh, I'm actually your son. I'm Gil. All servers stick together and stuff." So, what the hell happened? And Finn says, "What the hell happened?" And he says, "Well, the vortex sucked me out when the last Sharknado, and they transformed me into the future, and it was all going up. And now we can go back in time and try to reset everything so that our family is not dead." And that's what they did. He built like a time machine of a military RV. I'm not joking. And of course, Finn says, "Raymond, don't you need a license?" And you don't even have a license. And he goes, "Where we're going, we don't need a license." And of course, in the quote lifts off like in the end of Back to the Future, it starts off with a spoof of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Sharknado 5 ends with a spoof of the ending of the first Back to the Future film. And he says, "Where we're going, we don't need licenses." He puts his sunglasses on, and the RV takes off, flies off into the sunset pretty much. And the next thing you see is the fact that "to be continued," just like what happened in the end of the original Back to the Future film. And that's how Sharknado 5 ended. As a film, I thought it was pretty good because it cut down on all the parody stuff. Except, of course, the ones I mentioned with the Raiders of the Lost Ark, spoof of Grease in the middle. And, of course, at the end, you have, of course, a spoof of Back to the Future. But it cut down a lot of the parodies, a lot of the jokes. I mean, it did have reporters from England, and like the Today Show version in England, or the English version of the Today Show, and the Australian version. But I don't know, it didn't really bother me that much because I got used to it from the other films. But you did have an annoying cameo from Hoda Chaffee and Kathy Lee Gifford. You have them in there again, which was kind of annoying because they're annoying people. So that's why it's annoying cameos. But for the most part, this film is not as bad as the last one was. I thought the last one was the worst one and the silliest one of the whole series. But this one, I have to say, is definitely one of the better ones. I have to say, of the 5 Sharknado films, the fourth one is the worst one. If you skip over the fourth movie, you watch 1, 2, 3, and 5. With the fourth one being like the worst one of the entire Sharknado movie series. So that's my review of Sharknado 5 Global Swarming. Like I said, I should explain the So, the reason why it's called global swarming is, like I said, because Finn and April go around the world trying to start the Sharknadoes. Because they were stuck in the vortex, and the vortex dropped them off in various parts of the world. That's why it's called global swarming. And the best of the tagline for this movie, that was hyping like all week long, was "Make America Bait Again," kind of spoofing the Donald Trump mantra during the 2016 presidential election, and when he said "Make America Great Again." Well, for the Sharknado 5, it was called "Make America Bait Again," which was funny and hilarious because any spoof, any parody that's done well is funny, and they did it well in this movie. Except the only problem they had was, of course, with Dolph Lundgren and Charles cameos. That's really the only major problem I had in this movie. Other than that, I really liked this one compared to, like I said earlier, compared to the fourth one. This is like an Oscar-winning movie because that's how god awful bad the fourth one was. So that's my review of Sharknado 5 Global Swarming. Please click on the video, please rate it, feel free to comment on it, please subscribe to my channel, and please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. You can check out all of my reviews and on my YouTube channel at rowdyc.com, that's all WDY, and then c.com, there's a homepage of my reviewer, Chris Lee Moore, and please check out all the videos on his website. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.